guys. Good morning, good evening, and good night in many of the countries. This is Danish again from the Digital Nomads community. This is our free community event service webinar series. We invite professionals from all over the world covering three major themes in visa and immigration, registering business, and taxes for all the digital nomads and expats around the world. So our community, of course, we have 148,000 people. They come from all over the world. So we organize this event for them so we can learn, and it's absolutely free our series. Before we move ahead and introduce our incredible panel, our guest today, I would like to quickly share my screen and share some of the resources we have made for the community. It's for everyone. So I'm just quickly going to share my screen. And the first tool I'm going to show you is the visadb.io, which is I am the founder, disclaimer. And this is the database I created for all of you to browse all the available visas around the world. So you can actually go to visadb.io, you can click browse visas, and you can literally click on digital nomad visas and see all the visas available around the world or business visas. You can check it out. We also have created tools for you. For example, global tax rates. You can check it out. These information about taxes, corporate, personal, individual, and many other free tools. I would encourage you to check it out on visadb.io. Last but not least, all our experts today in the guest panel, they have published their services on the visadb.io. So you can go there, you can search Philippines, and you will see different types of services. For example, here you can see that work visa application, and you can click and you can chat with Karen. He's our verified partner. He's incredible. He speaks amazing English, and he will help you. So this is the first resource. Check it out. Give us feedback. It's free, absolutely free. Second supporter I want to share with you is Safety Wing, who are supporting this free community webinar series. So thanks to them, check out their products. Most of the digital nomads actually have used their insurance product, including me right now. I'm having this product. So a good product, check it out and enjoy. All right, so I'm going to just turn off my screen and I'm going to introduce our incredible panel today. So we have three incredible guests. Aaron, she manages visa and immigration in InCorp. We have Esther, she manages the business side, so all business related questions in Philippines. And last but not least, we have Danny. She manages the all the tax issues. So we will be asking them a lot of questions. First thing I want to introduce, they all represent InCorp. It's a company which is an incredible, and has an incredible history. It started in 2009 in Philippines, and now they have, of course, have grown, have offices in multiple countries. Philippines, of course, is the focus today. We'll be talking. So guys, first of all, from the behalf of community, people who are watching right now, people who will be watching the replays, thank you very much for joining and taking out your important time to attend this webinar series.
Thank you, Dinesh, and thank you to everyone here for making time for us today.
Yes, I'm really excited as people are joining. So I will start first question in our community. I'm managing this community for the last 6 years. Philippines, over and over again, people mention Philippines. What is it? What is this thing about Philippines which attracts people from all over the world? If you quickly want to tell us why people choosing Philippines to relocate to start their companies.
That's actually a good question. I understand that most of the participants today are already somewhat familiar with the Philippines, but are trying to figure out some more what it's like to move here, to do business here. And I think in relation to your question, there are around four main reasons why. We can just quickly go over them. The first is probably the strategic location of the Philippines. Ever since, the Philippines has been a natural gateway to East Asia, Southeast Asia, and we are an international crossroads of international and international shipping and airlines. So that's probably one of the reasons why in the past the Philippines was colonized by several countries because of the strategic location. The next would be the people. And I'm a bit biased here. I think some of the Filipinos are some of the warmest, most hospitable, and resilient people in terms of culture. The third would be, I think, the population. And this is also data supported by the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, and our Board of Investments. The people in the Philippines are quite young, can speak English quite well, and are educated. So there's a quality labor force if you do intend to start a business here. And the fourth reason would, of course, be the government initiatives to ease the doing of business in the Philippines. Yeah.
Wow, this is the new one. The last one is the new one, which brings me, I think I will follow on that question. So, what is the process if I'm from Canada, from Toronto, and I decided to register a company in Asia? I choose Philippines for the reasons you mentioned: educated, qualified English-speaking population, and the government initiatives to open a company. So, what is the process to register or start a business in Philippines?
Okay. Actually, in the Philippines, there are several types of setups for companies. The most common would be the domestic corporation. It's basically a subsidiary or a limited liability company, meaning the liability of the people forming the company are limited in general to the investments that they put in, and it won't redound to them personally. So to set it up, before there was a requirement of at least 5 incorporators, but now because of the reforms in our laws, the incorporators, we can set up a one-person corporation or a regular stock corporation with just 2 incorporators. So it became simpler.
Wow.
Yeah, and to register, we normally go through 7 different government agencies. It's part of our services as well. So we register with the Securities and Exchange Commission to incorporate the company or corporation with the Bureau of Internal Revenue. Dani is our tax advisor. She knows more about the BIR stuff. With the local government unit and different government agencies for the welfare of employees.
Wow.
So that's basically it.
This is incredible. I hear a lot of, literally, as you mentioned, the English-speaking population, and the government is actually quite invested in doing something, which is a good sign for our world, I guess. I will ask you the other question, which is the most important question, is a quick question: that can you register a company remotely, or you have to visit Philippines for that?
Actually, that's a good question, and we do get a lot of questions similar to that during our calls with leads. The trend now is a lot of our clients register their companies remotely because of the pandemic. A lot of them, we assist them with registering their companies while they're outside the Philippines, so it can be done remotely. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. And let's say, other than business, Philippines has the most beautiful beaches. That's what I'm telling you, reading the comments in the community. And so, if somebody would like to relocate to Philippines, I would ask from, I think, our friend Ellen, because she's expert immigration and visa expert. And so, what are the different visa or immigration options for someone outside Philippines would like to relocate there?
All right. Actually, there are different types of Philippine visa available for foreign nationals who wish to visit the Philippines. There are immigrants and non-immigrant visa. For non-immigrant visa, there are 90 work visa. For the 90 work visa, it is given to foreign nationals who will be engaged in gainful employment in the Philippines. There are also 47E2 visa through Department of Justice. It is given to foreign nationals who have an existing contract with any government agency in the Philippines. There's also 47E2 visa through PESA or Philippine Economic Zone Authority. It is given to foreign nationals working under PESA registered company. There are also ROHQ visa, original operating headquarters visa.
Mm-hmm.
It's given to foreign nationals working exclusively in regional operating headquarters or of the multinational companies. There's also retirement visa.
Mm-hmm.
Um, It is given to foreign nationals who wants to retire and who would like to make the Philippines as their second home or investment destination. Then the last is the special visa for employment generation.
Hmm.
So given to foreign national who have a substantial investment in an entity or corporations, and said investment is sufficient to sustain at least 10 regular Philippine employees. And then for the immigrant visa, it is given to foreign national married to a Philippine citizen. So the type of visa that is suitable for the foreign national depends on the purpose of their visit in the country.
Sure. That's wow. This is an amazing, concise list you told us. So first thing I know that if I want to immigrate, I am getting married. Okay, that's good to know. I would love to. The I want to talk about the two visas you mentioned because we have a lot of people who retired and also create employment because most of the people in our community are tech people or people who would like to retire. So this tech visa, if we talk about, is it the investment amount? Is there any exact investment amount you need to lock in the Philippines bank until the visa expire or something?
Is it a retirement visa?
The smart, the investor, the employment generation visa.
Okay, for the special visa for employment generation, the foreign national must have a substantial investment in the company, and this is meant investment is sufficient to sustain the salary of the foreign national for a whole year. So there's no specific amount required, but that is the basis of the Bureau of Immigration is that investment can sustain or can sustain at least 10 regular Philippine employees.
10. Okay, this is incredible because a lot of people we have they have offshore offices in Philippines, so customer service or data entry. So this is incredible. And if I quickly ask you about the retirement visas, is there any income you must be getting, a foreigner must be getting from outside Philippines to get that visa?
For the retirement visa, it requires a certain amount of money, at least 20,000 US dollars. But if the foreign national is receiving a pension from their government,
Mm-hmm.
the required deposit is 10,000 US dollars. So that is one of the important requirements of the Philippine Retirement Authority. The required deposit is like a sort of bond. In exchange of that, they will be issued a indefinite retirement visa. So we have to maintain that requirement in order to enjoy that retirement visa.
So 10,000, you keep it there, it's safe, and then you, as long as you want to live there, that money will be locked. So that's good to know. The other two types of visas, quickly, I would like to ask you the employment. So I must be employed by a Philippine business to get this work permit visa. Can I employ myself, like I register my company and then employ myself to get that visa?
Yes, actually, the Nigeria work visa is not only for the employees, but also for the owners of the company. You just have to secure the AEP certificate of exclusion from the Department of Justice in order for you to apply for a work visa.
Wow, this is good. This is good to know. Actually, I can register a company and employ myself. And I will ask you more questions around visa and immigration. But I would ask our Danny, our dearest Danny, that about taxes because this is the most important topic in or like when somebody is starting a company, they want to know about the taxes. So Philippines is good to relocate, but it's also a good market for foreigners to open a company, to access the market and do business in Philippines. Um, what are the tax rates if, for example, I'm a foreigner and I move there and become a resident and start making money? One, what are the tax rates for me? And if I am a non-resident and earning from the outside Philippines income, so if you can give us some idea.
Okay, so thank you for that question, Danish. Actually, we do also get a lot of clients who want to clarify on that. So before we go to the specifics, I would just like to highlight first that there are two types of income taxes here in the Philippines. So there's the individual level, or the individual income taxes. And there's also the corporate income taxes. So since Attorney Esther has also mentioned that it's also a viable option for any investor to register their companies here, I think it would also be a good idea for them to know that quite recently the Philippine government has amended our tax laws to reduce the corporate income taxes on domestic corporations and also on foreign corporations. So right now, it was reduced from previously it was 30%. You can imagine how difficult it was to do business back then. Right now, it's been reduced to between 20 to 25%, depending on the asset base of the company and also its income. And then for foreign corporations or non-resident foreign corporations, it's at 25%. So it's going to be the withholding tax. And then for the individual level, so we now go to the individual income taxes. It's actually still on a scheduler rate, but I would want to simplify it to the threshold amount. So I think this is the most important. So it's 250,000 pesos. If the income is 250,000 pesos and below, it's exempt from income taxes.
Oh.
And yes, so 250,001 pesos and above, so that's subject to the schedule already.
Wow.
It's between 20 to 25%. So we don't need to go into the range, just know that it's going to be subject to taxes. And then there's also what we consider a 15% tax rate on the gross income of special alien employees. We'll get to that in the next part.
Right.
So for
yeah, sorry, go ahead, please continue.
aliens, actually, resident citizens or Filipinos are subject to individual income taxes from all over the world. Okay.
Okay, so it's a citizenship-based taxation.
Let's say, yes, for example, you have investments in Canada or maybe in the US, in Japan, in Korea, in Africa, and also in the Philippines. Those are all going to be subject to income taxes here in the Philippines, okay?
Mhm. Wow.
But if you are a foreign national who is residing in the Philippines,
Mhm.
you are going to be subject to income taxes here in the Philippines from income that's coming their income from other countries is not going to be touched on by the government.
Oh, okay. So that's if I am living in Philippines and I'm making money from Canada, there will be no taxation. That's what I.
If you're a foreign national or if you're not a Filipino, yes.
And Danny, I would ask you one follow-up question on if can a foreigner, all the board of directors can be foreigner. I don't know if if Danny would answer, or Esther is a question for you. Can I register a company when none of the locals are involved? And if I don't live in Philippines, like for example, I have a company right now in Poland. I'm not a resident of Poland. I'm not a citizen of Poland, but I am managing my company in Poland. So is this possible in Philippines? And if it is, the tax rates are the same as you mentioned, or there's a different treatment for such a setup?
Okay, so I guess the first question is, can the board of directors or the owners of the company, basically the people making the decisions, can they all be foreigners? And thanks for this question. This is actually a good question because it's a common misconception here that companies in the Philippines require Filipino ownership. But as a general rule, a company can be 100% foreign owned. It just depends on the type of industry. So in general, most export-oriented companies can be 100% foreign owned. We do have a list. It's called the Foreign Investment Negative List. It lists down the industries with levels of restrictions on foreign ownership. But as a general rule, it can be 100% foreign owned. And the tax rates are around the same, right, Danny?
Yes, so for the tax rates, they are the same. So it will depend, again, on the type of corporation that you are going to register. If it's going to be considered as a domestic corporation or a foreign corporation here in the.
Okay, incredible. Good to know. So that looks pretty straightforward. And if like for example, in Poland, if you are a board of director and if you're getting a salary, I am paying taxes. And if I'm getting a dividend, I am paying taxes on the dividend again. Um, is it similar in the Philippines if you are a one-person company? First, is it possible? I think and Esther mentioned that you have to minimum be two directors, like two people can form a company. Is it possible for one person to form a company?
Yes, it's possible. Our new laws allow for a one-person corporation. So that person will be the sole director, president, and stockholder of the company. Of course, in case anything happens to that one person, there's also a nominee and an alternate nominee that's required. But one-person corporation is allowed.
Wow, that's good to hear because most of the digital nomads, they have businesses, they hire employees, but they themselves are owners of their own online businesses, which they move. So that's incredible. I would like to ask you two more questions, and then we see if there one question is there in the chat. Annalyn, what is the I know Incorp provides comprehensive visa and immigration services, and everybody who's watching it, we will at the end tell you how to contact Incorp and our incredible guests. And I would ask you, what is the top visas normally foreigners go for? Because you are experienced and of course you see a lot of inquiries. So what type of visa usually foreigners apply to?
Actually, the most visa that we availed is the 90 work visa. Because most of the foreign national has a business here in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can apply as an employee or the owner of the company. So that's the common, yeah, visa that they avail.
And I remember that every government document is in English, or how many, like, is it possible for me to like understand, go to the government websites and learn a little bit about it? What are the options, or everything is in the other language?
Actually, it is if the documents written in foreign language, it must be translated so that the immigration can understand the information written in the documents. Yeah, most of the documents that we will be needing for the work visa is the corporate documents of the company, since the local company will be the petitioner of the visa.
Sure. Okay, good to know, and that's where you guys come into play. So if anybody is remote, they're not in Philippines yet, and they want to start a company or start a immigration process, they can connect remotely to Ellen, Esther, or Danny anytime through visatv.io, and I will show you at the end. There is one question our dear attendee asked. Eddie is asking, could you elaborate on the quota visa application? Are there any quotas on each application of visas?
Yeah, actually, for the quota visa, there's the Bureau of Immigration given 50 slots for each nationality. And then the requirement is that the foreign national must hold any special skills, and he must have a sufficient and viable investment in the country. So it's either he has a property here in the Philippines, he has some money in the bank. The Quota visa is like a show money visa. So aside from you are having special skills, you must have also a substantial investment in the country. So
Wow.
it is given to each 50 slots for each nationality every year.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. That's great to know. To be honest, this is a incredible wealth of knowledge that I can even host a separate webinar only for Texas in Philippines and immigration in the Philippines and business in the Philippines. Andrea is asking, what type of business people can apply for the visitor visa? What is the length and how long does the application last? So if I want to move to Philippines, first I want to register a company, so I want to visit Philippines. So is it possible for me to visit on visitor visa and start a company and contact you and do business?
Well, currently, tourists are still not allowed to enter the country because of the pandemic. but they can still enter the Philippines provided that they have an travel ban exemption from the Department of Foreign Affairs. So once it is issued, they can request for a 9A visa from the Philippine consulate abroad, and then after that they may enter the Philippines as a tourist.
Wow, this is incredible. One follow-up quick question with you, and then I have one more text questions. I mean, because I am also have multiple businesses in multiple countries, so I am like literally have a lot of questions myself. Um, I think Craig asked you a question that how long does it take to get a work visa or any other type of visa? It's asking the process, duration of the whole process.
For the nature work visa, normally that would take 2 to 3 months to process, maximum 4 months. And currently, the foreign national can apply for a work visa even they are outside the Philippines because of the IATF resolution number 131-A. Of course, first, the foreign national must secure an AEP, Certificate of Exclusion or AEP card from the Department of Labor and Employment first, and then once it is issued, they can immediately apply for a work visa to the Bureau of Immigration.
Wow.
So the approval, if the foreign national is outside the country, the approval will be transmitted to the Philippine consulate via electronic means
Mm-hmm.
so that the foreign national can request for an entry visa valid for 90 days. So within 90 days, the foreign national must enter the Philippines.
Okay.
And then the remaining validity, like for example, the foreign national applied for 3 years work visa, the remaining validity will be given once the quarantine period is completed. So it will be given here in the Philippines.
That's incredible. One quick question I wanted to ask Danny is that to manage a company in Poland, I had to hire an accountant because Polish law requires companies to submit every month, submit the books and submit the tax. Is it the similar in Philippines?
Yes, actually, if you're going to set up a company here in the Philippines, or even if you're going to register as an individual who is self-employed, you will need to get the services of a trusted accountant because part of the requirements of the Bureau of Internal Revenue, which is the tax authority here in the Philippines, is that you have the submission of the tax returns. So as to what tax returns you're going to submit, it wholly depends on how you operate your business. But generally, if you are VAT registered, you will need to submit the annual income tax returns and also the VAT returns. And
Wow.
then other types of monthly and quarterly returns will depend if you have employees or what your operations are.
And I believe that InCorp and you provide the complete service for the submitting and talking with the tax authorities.
Yes, so for the tax compliance aspect, for the compliance of the tax returns, we do have an affiliate accounting firm, which is AHC Accounting. They do provide those services that are needed in the event of any audit by the BIR or any concerns regarding the legal matters when it comes to the BIR. Our firm does handle those.
Wow, this is incredible. And one last question. I know you have a busy day ahead. Just one last question I want to ask Esther is actually Andrea asked, how easy is it for startups to register their business in Philippines, and how long would it take to have my business registered? Andrea asked.
That's a good question. Um, in the Philippines, the usual time to register a corporation, a domestic corporation, or subsidiary, and this is the minimum time, is 3 months from the submission of information. I understand it may take a longer time as compared to other countries, but believe me, it has become shorter as compared to before. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, it is improved. Of course, as I said, Philippines are heavily invested in it, so things are progressing for everyone. So it's gotta get better in the future, I believe. And is there like a good tech startup scene in there? What is the culture like? Is it a good ecosystem for startups in Manila, I believe?
The trend now for startups, we have a lot of IT companies coming in, BPOs, software development companies, infrastructure companies, real estate companies, that's the usual trend nowadays, mostly related to tech, health products, services, and properties infrastructure. That's the trend nowadays. And as I mentioned before, companies here, as a general rule, can be 100% foreign owned. It just depends on the industry. So most of these industries can be completely owned by foreigners.
That's good to know, guys. I would our 30 minutes are over. What are we gonna do? Whoever is watching the replay, we are going to publish this. We're going to cut this into smaller videos based on each questions, and we will upload them on YouTube and other medium and in our community, of course, and send you in the newsletter and on LinkedIn as well. So I'm sure you will get it. I would like to ask you to conclude this. If anybody who's watching this and would like to hire InCorp for taxes, for immigration, or for registering a business, they can contact you through visadb.io. How long do you normally take to respond to the inquiries? I'm sorry about the background sound, but how long do you normally take for the inquiries to answer them?
No worries. Actually, I think you've already been connected with Karim, our visa business development manager, and he really answers quickly, right? But normally we respond within 24 hours. So wow. It's a quick turnaround time. Yeah.
This is incredible. So guys, everybody's watching, once again, go to visadb.io and you will see all InCorp services listed there with budget and code and what's included in the service. And you can click chat and then you will connect with our guest directly and you can do the live chatting with them on the VisaDB. So guys, I really want to, Danny, Esther, and I really want to show my gratitude on the behalf of my community. Not everybody's not there because it's very late in Europe and the US, but whenever they're watching, so on their behalf, I really want to thank all of you and show my gratitude for sharing this wealth of knowledge and information. And we can see that you guys are really expert in your field. So it was my pleasure to host you guys, and I'm sure we will be hosting more micro events focusing on each domain. Right now it was a general event, just an introduction to our community, so they know you guys are from InCorp. So thank you very much, and we will be organizing more events. So everybody who's watching, next week we will be having another event. Please share this when you're watching it with your friends, and thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you, Dinesh, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.